I'm just going to talk for a few minutes, and then I'm going to hand it over to the expert. For those of you that don't know, so Jared, who's going to be talking tonight, he and I have known each other for 10 years. And when about 4 years ago, give or take, he kept bugging me and saying, like, John, we should start taking Bitcoin on the site for payments. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's Bitcoin? And he started explaining it to me, and we started going through this process. And so I was like, all right. And so we put it on the site, and then I started getting interested in it and buying it. And, we've been, doing some trading off and on. And for me, where, obviously I'm doing deep dives into the markets every day and trading options and things like that, but I've always been fascinated with Bitcoin, but I haven't had the time to do the deep dive into it. It hasn't been, my obsession, like with options, has been, it's a daily deep dive into expected moves and all this kind of stuff. Well, Jared has had that same obsession with all things crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, Zcash, and all the altcoins that are out there. At any given time, he's monitoring 20 different ones and trading these actively. And it's something where, for us in the office, it's been kind of a fun, kind of like a side gig. It's like, cool, look what the altcoins are doing today. But for Jared, it's been like, this is a deep dive. This is the wave of the future. And so that's, again, so for those of you that don't, because Jared is not out there. He's not in the room and doing a lot of stuff like that. He's just kind of behind the scenes and doing a lot of work for us. And this is just becoming an obsession of his, and he's gotten to be really, really good at trading it and learning about it. And so tonight, what he's going to do is, for those of you that are newer to the whole crypto universe, is tell you all about it and show you some kind of, if you guys are interested in trading, like what to do there and stuff like that. So anyway, it'll be awesome. So what I'd like to do now, without further ado, is hand this over to Jared. You guys are in good hands, and let's learn all about the crypto.
Okay, good to go. Perfect. All right, so how everyone doing tonight? Can everyone hear? Good. So I hope everyone is excited about crypto. I definitely am. Actually, one of the guys just sent me an article I thought would be kind of funny to share. So I am not a huge fan of a lot of the big banks. That was sort of, I think, what got me interested into Bitcoin was around 2009, 2010. My family was, affected by the financial crisis, as was pretty much everyone in the world. And so that really got my interest, kind of up in, what was going on in the financial world. So I started drinking a lot of the Ron Paul Kool-Aid around that time, got really interested in gold, silver, spent a lot of time researching the Federal Reserve. And so someone just shared this with me. Let me pull it up real quick. Okay, so I think probably if you've been in the trading room before, you probably have heard me talk about, or at least you've probably read it yourself, is JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon has made multiple sort of comments about Bitcoin, even after saying, like, okay, I'm done, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. This just came out. So after slamming Bitcoin as a money laundering tool, JP Morgan busted for money laundering. And I mean, this really sets the tone for this perfectly, because why I got so excited about all this stuff was the whole idea of not having to trust the middleman anymore. I think it goes without saying that everyone in the world was betrayed, by the financial system back around 2008. I mean, what a few people did brought the whole world to its knees. And so via technology, Bitcoin and the blockchain is starting to really force, trust back into sort of a trustless system. So anyway, I just thought that was really good timing. So let's kick this off. So, I want to talk about a little bit what I hope for, to teach, and what everyone I hope learns out of this. So my goal really was to put together some information that by the end of this, you'd feel very confident, talking about cryptocurrencies, talking about Bitcoin. And so I thought to myself, who is the worst person I know at technology? And my mom, I think, may be in attendance this evening, so I'm not trying to bash you, Mom, but you are the worst person I've ever seen at technology. I mean, hands down. So just to kind of give you an idea, recently was visiting my mom and my sister, and my mom was complaining about her phone was running out of storage all the time. And I just told her, I said, this happens over time is, with pictures and stuff like that and your messages just happens. And she said, no, Jared, I honestly think what's happening is that every time your sister listens to music next to me, it downloads to my phone. And I try to be pretty understanding with her. But I just told her, Mom, I promise you that is not possible. That's not what's happening. You're just running out of space. So really my goal for this is to be able to teach my mother, about Bitcoin, about cryptocurrencies to the point to where she would feel confident doing this on her own. And so really what I thought is, how do I dumb this down a step lower than that? And so, here's what I figured out. Is that I need to be able to figure this out to the point to where Henry and Mandy's dog could do this. So the other day I walked into the office and Lucy, she's typically on Mandy's computer early in the morning, and she was checking out Bitcoin. So I decided, this would really be a good way to shape this. As long as a dog could do this, you can do this. So how many of you actually have any Bitcoin or are participating in the crypto market? Just a yes, a no. A lot of no's, a couple yeses. Okay. Well, my hope for this really is that by the end of this, you're going to be very excited and feel very comfortable getting involved in this. So how many of you feel like this when people talk to you about the crypto market? So here's Lucy once again, trying to figure out what to do. But I've talked to a lot of people about this over the last couple of years, and it really surprises me still how many people just have no clue what it is, what's going on. I actually just went through some interviews with people for here up at the office, and that was one question I asked everyone is, what do you think about Bitcoin? And literally every single one of them said, oh, well, I've heard of it, but I have no exposure. So to me, and these were all people roughly around my age. I'm roughly, or well, not roughly, I am 31. So, it's just very interesting to me as I consider myself, still pretty young. I'm technically one of those shameful words people like to throw around, millennial. So I'm I'm one of those things people like to blame everyone's problems on. But anyway, so let's dive in. So I've heard a lot of people say that the biggest hang-up they have about getting involved in cryptos is it's a bubble. So it's funny to me is that a children's toy is what scares so many people, and I get that that's not the actual fear. But so people like to throw that around. If you search Bitcoin bubble, which I did, they've been saying that every single year. And my opinion on is Bitcoin a bubble is even if it is, I don't know that that's an issue, because with a bubble, you're going to see price increase. And as traders, the edge that we have, unlike most of the people that are maybe just now getting involved with crypto, and Bitcoin specifically, is that we can time things better than the average Joe. So, having the edge to be able to say, hey, it looks like we just ran into resistance. We could see a pullback here. And avoiding, potentially a 20 or 30% pullback, that can be huge. So, I just thought this was funny is, this was something I pulled up today is in 2017, the Bitcoin bubble, greater fool theory, why Buffett sees Bitcoin bubble, why Bitcoin bubble matters, Bitcoin price bubble. 2016, same thing. 2015, same thing. So for those of you who've never heard the word clickbait, Bitcoin bubble is great clickbait. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, that, the price inflation is not crazy. It is, but I think it's great. It's really important to keep this in context. So I love hearing people call Bitcoin a bubble. I really do. To me, that just, like I said, kind of to that point with Jamie Dimon is every time he says something, to me, it's like, that's a buy signal. So I don't know how many people read my little section in the weekly wrap-up last Friday. Anyone? A few yeses. Well, I hope some of you checked it out, because basically in the video I discussed that every time we've seen a quote-unquote pullback in the Bitcoin market, at least notable pullbacks this year, they've all exceeded 30%. So just averaging those out here, you can see that a pullback in the crypto or Bitcoin market might be considered a crash in a normal market. So actually just recently we saw that. So on Friday we published the simpler kind of weekly wrap-up, and in my kind of section of that I discussed, basically what I was saying is that every time you see a significant pullback in Bitcoin, it's exceeded 30%, and that just provides a huge buying opportunity. So if you take a look here on November 8th, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high of 78.98, and then 4 days later on the 12th, you can see here it pulled back all the way down to 55.11. And this was on, I think, Monday or Tuesday. I heard that, I don't remember the individual, but a billionaire bought like $15 million worth around around that 5,500 area. So, like I said, as a trader, these are the opportunities you want to be able to spot. And, I've benefited from sitting around some of the best, if not the best, traders in the industry. So for the last 4 years, I've literally kind of via osmosis have kind of picked and choosed elements of, Rogge, John, Henry, Carolyn, Bruce, really the whole Simpler Trading team's sort of philosophy and styles, and I've kind of made it my own. So just a little bit about me. So about 10 years ago, like John said, I met him through Henry. This is what we wear at the office here down at the bottom right. So about 10 years ago, I moved here to Austin from Odessa, Texas. If you don't know where it is, probably wouldn't put it on your to-visit list. You generally can tell you're getting close to Odessa when you smell the H2S gas, which if you're not familiar with what that smells like, it smells like rotten eggs. So I've always considered myself a little bit like into weird things. I think for a 20-year-old to be interested in trading, there's probably something weird about that. I like to golf. Down here at the bottom, I have a microgreen setup where I grow wheatgrass and sunflowers and a bunch of other things. This is Craig and I here at the office. Up here at the right is me as a bunny rabbit with my girlfriend. This was at our Halloween party here recently. So anyway, a little bit about me. I got interested in trading back right after the crash. So here is a screenshot of my kind of first trading account. So this was a lot of this was done on my birthday back then. So, and full disclosure, I don't hold any of this stuff anymore, unfortunately. And one thing I've kind of noticed is I've always been pretty good about kind of finding good opportunities in maybe in areas where most people don't spend any time looking. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I I really wish I would still have had some of that city at $3 and Southwest over at 6. So basically, I've been in the crypto market for a while now. So I bought my first Bitcoin back in 2014, and really, I mean, at that time, I didn't know much about it. I'd just been working for the company here for Simpler Trading for about a year. When I first came on, it was really Daryl who kind of got me excited about things. So he was mining in the office, and so I set up a little mining rig, and I don't honestly remember what we mined at the time. I think it was Dogecoin. Daryl gives me a hard time sometimes because he was mining Litecoin back then, and at that time, he was able to mine, I think, like one Litecoin every week or every 3 days or something. But mining is pretty intensive on a computer, and so what ends up happening is that the computer will run at full blast. And so at the time, his little mining rig was sitting directly behind me, and it was just so loud that I just turned it off. And anyway, I probably cost Daryl a decent amount of money, but luckily he's a real nice guy, so he hasn't made me pay him back. But so shortly thereafter, I kind of bought quite a bit more Ethereum, and relatively speaking to what I could afford. And honestly, when I first bought it, what tipped me off was I was doing all my purchases via Coinbase. So for those of you who obviously signed up for this, I I recorded a short video on buying your first Bitcoin, and right now I think Coinbase is probably the best solution for really anyone that's looking to get into this space. They have the lowest and kind of the most competitive fees. They're sort of well respected within the world, both on sort of a regulatory standpoint. I think they go through a lot of trouble to make sure that they're doing everything to not get in trouble. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies really all started with the launch of this white paper. So back in 2008, right in the midst of the financial crisis, a pseudonym named Satoshi Nakamoto released this white paper explaining the idea for the blockchain and Bitcoin. So this was really the genesis of this crazy movement. At this point, no one really knows if this is a real person, if this is a group of people, man, woman, alien. No one really knows at this point. There's been a lot of speculation really since the beginning on who this is. Is it a group of people? And there's been a lot of kind of speculation. There's an Australian, Craig, I don't remember his name, Craig something. But for a while, there was a lot of evidence that looked like he was. So this name may not mean anything to you, but Vitalik Buterin is sort of known as the founder or creator of Ethereum. And he had a good kind of statement about that. And he says there's always an easy way to explain something in a difficult way, or to prove something rather. And if this Craig, I think I still can't remember his name, but if he wanted to prove he was legitimately Satoshi Nakamoto, there would have been an easy way, not this very complicated kind of diluted way he attempted to explain that it was him. So at this point, there really is no clear idea of who this individual or individuals are. Really, it's just sort of the kind of the hidden element here to Bitcoin. So really the first thing to kind of understand is, what is the blockchain? So I think a lot of times people get sort of confused when they hear blockchain, they hear Bitcoin, and they don't quite understand what the heck's going on. So the blockchain is really the technology that lives behind Bitcoin and really all of the other cryptocurrencies. So the blockchain or blockchain technology is a decentralized ledger. The blockchain allows for recording of transactions in a verifiable and permanent way. The blockchain technology is at the backbone of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, and over 1,200 other altcoins. A lot of people are calling this one of the greatest inventions ever, and definitely the greatest thing since the internet. So this really is why I get so excited about all this. Is back to the point about Jamie Dimon, is like I said, I mean, we as a whole, citizens, we're sort of betrayed by the financial world, and to me, instilling something that does not require a middleman, it's completely math-based, that's incredibly attractive to me. So here's something I like to say a lot is, blockchain is restoring trust in a trustless world. So with the rise of Bitcoin, for most people, all they can grasp at this point is that there is a new digital currency. What most don't realize is that the blockchain's reach far exceeds the financial world. So the blockchain technology will cause positive disruption in sectors like financial, shipping and logistics, defense, retail, healthcare, manufacturing, and public services. It's something you don't necessarily need to focus on too much to profit from, but to me, it's worth understanding and getting excited about. Once you sort of understand that the blockchain essentially is just like I said, a decentralized ledger, so basically a bookkeeper that can't cook the books, that's where you can kind of see the potential there. So I would hope some of you would know what this device is. This is something that just came out. Anyone want to take a guess what this is? Any guesses? No one? A few people? Okay, well, sorry, no one's right. So this is a voting booth of the future. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but when I heard about this, and not to say that Samsung and other guys were not already doing this, but when you start to understand what the blockchain can do, this is where the possibilities are nearly limitless. So with the new iPhone X or iPhone 10, they added facial ID or Face ID. And so think about this for a minute. So if you have a way of storing information securely, imagine sort of an identification system based on the blockchain. So an ID system that, depending on who you wanted to share information with, you could via the push of your thumbprint or the scan of your face or the sound of your voice. So multi-factor authentication to prove, hey, this is really Jared. This isn't someone trying to rip him off. So if you can imagine with me for a moment, call it maybe not the next election, but realistically, I think that maybe by 2024, this could be a reality. So imagine you're sitting at work, it's election time, and you can't make it over to the polls. But because you have this blockchain-based ID, you can scan your thumbprint, scan your face, and intermeshed with existing systems, so driver's license, passport, Social Security, things like that. I mean, there will be multiple points of authentication to kind of sync existing systems with blockchain. But from, like I said, a scan of your face and a push of a button, can you imagine what that will do for voting? And not to say that this is probably something that the powers that be want, but that's why it's so exciting, I really think, is that it's disrupting things in a great way. So really the flagship of cryptocurrencies is obviously Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, like I said, it's been around since 2008. The first block was mined in 2009, and just hours ago we hit a new all-time high once again. So let's break it down. So what is Bitcoin? So Bitcoin is a digital currency that can be used as a means to both store and exchange value. Bitcoin is completely decentralized, unlike existing money systems, which is controlled by the Federal Reserve Bank. With a blockchain under the hood, for the first time in history, Bitcoin is a currency with no need for any intermediaries. Bitcoin is stored in a digital wallet. The digital coins are represented by what is called a private key. As implied by the name, this hexadecimal key is something you do not want to share with anyone. Bitcoin gives individuals the ability to transfer funds quickly and securely. The information that is exchanged when transferring Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies is referred to as a public key or address. So here's an example of a mobile Bitcoin wallet. And, if some of y'all would want to maybe just test out sending Bitcoin, I don't mind if you send them to me. So basically, you can use this long string of numbers here. So if you wanted to, say, send a friend some Bitcoin for whatever reason, they could take this code, punch it into their wallet, and it would send it. Or you can scan using your mobile phone that QR code. So, to put this in perspective, I think there is still a lot of people that think Bitcoin is just sort of this hobbyist kind of thing that, it has gained some notoriety, but, to put it in perspective, now this amount is now off by about 7 billion. Excuse me, but, just take a look at this. So Bitcoin is less than 10 years old at this point, and is creeping up with a market cap that will exceed probably McDonald's, 3M, IBM, and Disney very, very soon. So that's just something I think really needs to sit in your mind for a minute. Disney, IBM, 3M, McDonald's, these are companies that have been around for 30, 50 plus years. And Bitcoin, like I said, though it is not necessarily apples to apples in that this is a stock and this is a currency sort of, but I think just for comparison, it's very interesting to look at. So now that we have sort of an idea of what we're working with, let's put it all together and show you how it works. So the way it works, Bitcoin transactions are recorded and visible on the Bitcoin blockchain. The Bitcoin network is maintained by the combined hash power of the distributed group of miners. Members of the mining community fuel the network by solving complex mathematical equations using specialized ASIC or application-specific integrated circuits or GPU-powered mining rigs. In a lottery-style format, the miners are rewarded with newly minted Bitcoin for their efforts with the creation of a new block roughly every 10 minutes. Now, a simple way to understand this is think of a network, but a network that is powered by basically these, specific machines that are solving these really complex equations. And as time has gone on, these equations get more difficult. So in the beginning, any random guy with a computer could download the Bitcoin software and start, churning away in mining Bitcoin. And really, initially, you could use a pretty basic computer because the difficulty of the equations really wasn't that tough. As the value of Bitcoin increased, you start seeing much bigger players get into the game. So you'll have, companies like John McAfee's who are spending millions of dollars buying up equipment to mine Bitcoin, which in doing so has pushed out a lot of the hobbyists. So right now you have much bigger players in the game that are building and creating the network. And this is a little quote that I don't know if I came up with this. It was something I don't know if I heard or is just in my head, but anyway, really to understand it, it's you're trusting the digital miners. So all these people that have agreed to run this software and maintain the network. So a little bit of continuation here. So with each new block created, the network comes to consensus on the transactions that took place during that 10-minute period. So as I mentioned, the algorithm is designed based on the hash rate to adjust how difficult the equation is so that it roughly takes 10 minutes to solve. So the software used by the miners, as I mentioned, has a self-optimizing algorithm that adjusts the difficulty of the equations based on the current hash rate of the network. After the creation of 210,000 new blocks, there is a halving of the mining rewards. The next halving should occur on June 13th, 2020, reducing the mining reward from 12.5 Bitcoins every 10 minutes to 6.25 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. There are a total of 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be created. At this point, 79.4% of the Bitcoins have been mined. So just think about that for a minute. There is, there is a kind of an end date in mind here. There's a line in the sand for there will be no more Bitcoins. So, due to the finite number of Bitcoins, this inherently creates a deflationary effect, which should continue to drive the value of Bitcoin higher the closer we get to zero. So this is the total opposite for how the US dollar, which is controlled by the Federal Reserve Bank. So in the wake of the financial crisis through quantitative easing, the Federal Reserve has expanded the money supply, i.e. print money out of thin air, by more than $13 trillion. So your hard-earned money, when it's sitting in a bank account, is actually losing value. I think economists would probably argue, but if you think about that for a minute, I've always heard, and this, I don't know if this is their actual statement, but the Federal Reserve tries to keep inflation at 2%. So at 2% a year over 50 years, the dollar has lost all its value essentially. But with Bitcoin, as you can see, it's very volatile, but year over year over year, it's increasing in value. So now that you understand how it works, what Bitcoin are, what do you do with your Bitcoin? So where do you store them? So understanding digital wallets. So there are a few key things to understand with wallets. There's two terms. You'll hear hot wallet and cold wallet. Essentially, what hot wallet means is that it's connected to the internet, where a cold wallet is not. Anyone want to take a guess at which one is safer? Hot wallet or cold wallet? Anyone? Yes, so perfect. So yes, so hot wallet is going to be more risky because you're connected to the internet. There's the vulnerability there. And then the types of wallet are web service wallets, desktop wallets, mobile wallets, paper wallets, and hardware wallets. A web service wallet will be something like an exchange. And so I would assume most of you who've heard of Bitcoin have probably heard of Mt. Gox before. So that was probably the biggest debacle in Bitcoin history. The ex-CEO, I think his name is Mark Karpelès, was definitely way in over his head. But with a new technology, there's tons of risk, right? So what basically happened is people were keeping their coins or private keys on the Mt. Gox exchange. And once again, back to the whole intermediary thing, is if you're trusting someone else to hold your money, you don't know what could happen. I mean, I think anyone that maybe has been to Greece or lived in Greece, knows that you don't want someone else to have access to your money, because if, if they kind of jack up the world, they may just dip into your savings account. And what a lot of the powers that be were doing right before that happened is they were sending their money out of Greece. So, the whole idea of having full control of your money is incredibly appealing to me. So on the right, that is my hand with my little Trezor wallet. So this is an example of a hardware wallet. And in my opinion, this is the best option for storing your cryptocurrencies. So the Trezor wallet, it looks and is really about the size of a thumb drive. You plug this into your computer. It syncs with a online wallet where you can kind of see your, the values and things like that. And then you can send your cryptocurrencies to this wallet. It's about as safe as you can get with your crypto. So if this device was stolen, there are means to actually to get your cryptocurrencies back. You'd have to basically enter in a series of unique words that you write down at the beginning of the setup, and that's how you would restore your coin. So, I mean, this is really, in my opinion, the best possible and safest way to store your money. This really just acts as your vault for your money. So, very cool, and I mean, this technology is continuing to evolve. So let's talk about altcoin opportunities. Does anyone know what an altcoin is in here? Just feel free to say yes, no, anyone? Cool. Yeah, so a few of you, but let's just go ahead and explain. It's very simple. So an altcoin or alternative coin is simply any cryptocurrency that's not Bitcoin. Pretty straightforward. So when you hear altcoin, it just means talking about something other than Bitcoin. So how many other cryptocurrencies are there? So right now there are currently 1,284 different cryptocurrencies, which is tiny in comparison to the over 100,000 publicly traded companies in the world. So, just to kind of give you an idea, for a while there, I mean, there were new altcoins or cryptocurrencies coming out nearly every single day. But like the stock market, you don't really need to know all of them. You just need to know how to spot opportunity and where to look. So real quick, this is a site that I spend a lot of time on, coinmarketcap.com. And, they've really put together a really nice just kind of information where you can see top market caps, things like that. And up here at the very top, you can see the total number of cryptocurrencies and total number of markets. I don't know if you can see, it's pretty small, but currently when I took this screenshot, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, the current market cap is $224 billion, so not just chump change. And right now, Bitcoin accounts for 57% of that. So another household name I would say in the crypto world is Ethereum. Different than Bitcoin, Ethereum's goal is to become the new global computer. So Ethereum is unique to Bitcoin in that its intent is not to be a currency but a platform for decentralized apps, commonly referred to as dApps. Ethereum has created a token standard called ERC20. These tokens operate on top of the Ethereum network. Ethereum has gained a lot of popularity this year as the fuel that fed most of the ICOs that led to the huge run-up. To the huge run-up at the first portion of the year. So Ethereum is very interesting to me. Let me just kind of step out of the presentation to show you something that I've really been eyeing for a while here. So if you've been in the simpler trading kind of family for a while, you should know what the squeeze is. If you don't, you probably have not been paying attention. So let's go ahead and pull up Ethereum real quick. Okay, here we go. So here is Ethereum. Let me pull it up with a different, actually. Let's see, ETH, USD. Okay. So check this out here. So look at this kind of triangle pattern with a squeeze here in a weekly chart. So Ethereum, really since the huge run-up back in June, has really had trouble getting above sort of this area here, but continues to consolidate sort of in what I would consider a very bullish kind of pattern. With this big old weekly squeeze building up here, it really makes me think that we have a lot of upside potential, especially just based on the technology itself. I mean, there's a lot of really smart people working on this, and I think it just is going to add a lot to, you know, to kind of change the world. So let's kind of hop back into this. So one thing I wanted to kind of share with you is kind of a real simple little tip, I guess you'd call it, for finding some of these really explosive moves in different altcoins. So what we were looking for is who is sticking out of the crowd here, so kind of the whole sore thumb idea. So back to CoinMarketCap, this is one way I kind of look for opportunity. So typically what I'll do, and this is a screenshot from just earlier today, and this is within the top 30 in terms of volume traded. And so what I like to look for are the ones that really don't belong. So like I said, this should be within the top 30. And so for you guys, if you take a look at that, kind of with that said, who is standing out here? And this number on the left represents market cap, or where you sit within the different cryptos. So yeah, so I think someone said it, but so really what it is based on the volume traded. So this is basically the total market cap, price, and then 24-hour volume here. So what I like to look for is someone that just doesn't belong there. So this is the 97th largest market cap, and I think this was like number 28 in terms of where it fell. So let me just kind of pull that up in CoinMarketCap so I can show you. And I know some of you may think, well, that's pretty basic. Well, something to consider is most people in the crypto market really have no idea what they're doing when it comes to trading. They basically bought in because they wanted to participate, but really aren't looking at charts. They're saying, oh, this seems like a good opportunity. I've heard my friends talking about it. I should get in. But as I noted, really the whole idea here is we have an edge right now. The market is still very underdeveloped, and most people have no clue what they're doing. So let me just pull this up here really quick. So I mean, it's very simple, and like I said, it's not rocket science. But basically, what I'll do is I'll just go to volume 24 hours, and then I just kind of take a quick look and say, okay, well, who doesn't belong? And right now, so stores, that one's getting hammered, so that's why the volume's kind of high. Bitcore, wow, 65% in one day. So that would be one that would kind of go onto my, let's check this out. So really that is kind of the key there, or at least for this kind of tip is, just going through the list real quickly. And it's not necessarily saying, hey, this is definitely a trade. It's just, hey, what's going on here? Why are a 92, a 71, 70, and an 80 all hanging out here down in the top 30? So that's something I would definitely take a look at. And like I said, I mean, that's, for most traders, that's probably something you understand is that volume precedes price. But once again, there is a ton of kind of dumb money, so to speak, in the crypto market. So I kind of talk about all this stuff just because I just think there is so much opportunity for a trained eye. So someone that's been following equities or just the stock market in general, I mean, you can really kill it in this market. I recently had a really good single-day trade in Monacoin. So I wrote an article about that and posted that to the Simpler Trading blog about a month ago. So in one day, I made 56% trading the Japanese Bitcoin, Monacoin. And I joked that I probably spent more time making some of these images, but anyway. So really, like I said, there's just a lot of opportunity in some of these these coins that most people have never heard about. And Monacoin was one of those that I use this method where I just look at 24-hour volume, see who doesn't belong, and this one made the list. Here's another example. So Litecoin, this is another one that's far more popular. It's within the top 5 in terms of market cap. But this was the first time that I ever made sort of 5 figures in a single day on a trade. So well, actually, a combined. So it was this and Ethereum Classic, which I'll show you here shortly. So with a very simple setup here, using, and actually at this time I wasn't actually using wave and grab, but Fibonacci and the squeeze is really what, forced me to kind of get into this move here. With the addition of this indicator, it has made things way, way better. But, I'll kind of talk about that a little later. So really the same day I initiated the Litecoin trade, I initiated a trade in Ethereum Classic. So the Litecoin trade was 31% in about a day. The Ethereum Classic trade was 16% in about 2. So, just think about that for a second. Is some people, and not to say you should put all of your money in one basket, but a lot of people are shooting for those kind of returns over a year. And like I said, once again, not to say, hey, let's put everything into this one thing and just let it ride. But there's just a lot of potential with the amount of volatility currently in the crypto market. Here's another example. So this was, I posted this to the Simpler Trading YouTube channel back on the 17th. So this is Syscoin. So 16% in less than 8 hours. Once again, just kind of following stuff I learned from John and Carolyn and Henry and really the whole team here is, Fibonacci levels had, this squeeze building up here for quite a while, started seeing increased buying volume and, caught this really big move in, like I said, just a couple of hours. And, I sit here and have a full-time job here at the office, and I just keep, a window up and kind of look at opportunities in the morning. This isn't something I'm spending, 24 of my waking hours doing. I do, admittedly so, spend a lot of time looking at this when I get home. I'm sure my girlfriend preferred that I, had a stronger relationship with her than I do with Bitcoin, but sometimes there's somewhat of a balance or sharing goes on. So anyway, I just keep emphasizing this, not to brag or anything like that. It's really just to show you there is so much potential if you know what you're looking for. And as I keep harping on is most people in this space have no clue what they're doing. So a lot of you have probably heard about sort of the civil war that's been going on within the crypto market. This is largely due to the miners sort of wanting more pay for their work. So as I mentioned before, the miners are what keeps the network going. It's keeping it, the ledger maintained. It's fueling everything. In earlier this year, basically what happens is imagine our network, if you will, for a minute. So we've got the blockchain of the Bitcoin network, all the different computers powering this thing, all connected, kind of talking to each other saying, yep, this is what happened the last 10 minutes. Yep, is that what you got? Great, that's what I've got. So they're coming to this consensus. As I mentioned, as price has exceeded, as has the difficulty of the equations, the mining has become so difficult that it's really pushed out most players. And the payout for the power that goes into mining, the infrastructure, all that, it became sort of an issue to where it barely was kind of justifying doing it. So this is where we got Bitcoin Cash. So you could call it sort of a group of rogue miners. I think time will tell if Bitcoin Cash will survive. But basically, imagine, we've got 10 people, and just for ease of the explanation, we have 10 people that represent our network. Well, say that, me, you, and 2 other guys decide, you know what? I just don't really like what these other guys are doing anymore. I think we can do it better. And so the really only risk to Bitcoin is sort of known as the 51% issue. And that basically means is that if 51% of the miners go rogue and decide, you know what, we're not going to run this old Bitcoin software anymore, we're going to run this new version. But what would need to happen is they would have to get everyone, or at least 51% of the existing miners, to say, you know what, we believe in these guys' ability to continue on Bitcoin, so we're going to go with them. And that's sort of what happened here. Now, that's sort of a watered-down explanation, but it's probably the best way to sort of describe it, is that they fork the idea of which way Bitcoin goes. So the blockchain, to sort of understand it, is each 10 minutes, a new block is chained to the other one, and that's where the record of all the transactions are happening. So, Taylor sent this to me, and I just thought this was crazy. So just to kind of put this in perspective, last week during the Bitcoin sell-off, Bitcoin Cash had this huge run up, and actually for the first, I think it was the first time ever, the hash rate or the power of the network for Bitcoin Cash exceeded that of Bitcoin's for a very small window of time. So I think you'd really have to understand that to maybe appreciate this. So on the left here we have, Bitcoin original, and he says, look how much I have. And Bitcoin Cash says, well, can I hold some of that for you? And then you have Bitcoin asking, okay, well, but just a little bit. Wow, so much. Bitcoin Cash takes a run and immediately stumbles. So let's see that maybe in chart form. So if you take a look at the left, kind of here at the beginning of this highlighted area, this is where sort of the sell-off happened. And like I said, I believe that was Saturday, you got that big down wick, and that was the bottom. And just a few hours ago, we were ready at new highs again. And so here's Bitcoin Cash on the right. So let me go back. You have this huge monstrous run up. I believe it was up like 200% over a week or something, and nearly as quickly as it rose, it fell apart. So I have to imagine, you had the people. Actually, I heard another really good joke, and it was, if you're having a bad day, just think to yourself, there's someone that sold Bitcoin at 5,500 and bought it at 2,800. So, if you're in the crypto market, there's probably a good one for you. So, the reason I continue to be very bullish on Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market is every single day, kind of woven in between the noise, between the Bitcoin bubble stuff, between the Jamie Dimons bashing it, yada, yada, yada. There are reasons why this thing continues to grow. And just recently, on Halloween, I don't know if this was a trick or treat from Amazon, but Amazon registered 3 new domains: AmazonEthereum.com, AmazonCryptocurrency.com, AmazonCryptocurrencies.com, adding that to their existing AmazonBitcoin.com. So, I'm not sure if this is just Jeff Bezos sort of just, playing a trick on the crypto community, trying to get everyone excited, or this may mean that Amazon is getting very ready to start accepting cryptocurrencies as a method of payment. And, if you've watched one of my presentations before, I've used this slide before, but I just think that is incredibly important to think about. Look at the size of Amazon. In a year's time, Amazon has doubled in size. Now, let me ask a question to you. Who in the room uses Amazon? Everyone, right? I mean, I don't ever buy anything anymore unless I can get it on Amazon. I nearly just think it doesn't exist if I can't find it on Amazon. So imagine, the digital marketplace where you can use Bitcoin. What will that do for the price of Bitcoin? I have to imagine that's a very bullish signal. So just today, another huge announcement that sort of, I would say, probably kind of goes under the radar just because most people probably don't know what Ripple is. But today, American Express announced they're getting in bed with Ripple for international payment transfers. So Ripple is, I believe, the 4th biggest cryptocurrency right now. And, this is huge stuff when you have one of the biggest credit cards in the world, or whatever you want to refer to American Express as, getting in bed with a cryptocurrency. That is big news to me. And just maybe a month or so ago, I read something that Ripple already had 10 different banks, or excuse me, 100 different banks, all kind of in their network, kind of ready to go. So, kind of despite the fact that cryptocurrencies are sort of competing against banks, I think they've even started to realize, hey, if we don't get with it, we're going to get left in the dust here, and could lose a lot of the kind of control they have on the world. So, I mean, once again, just to kind of say, is like, this is huge to me. Huge. It's one of those things where this isn't just a game anymore. This isn't a hobbyist thing. This isn't nerds playing World of Warcraft, doing this in their mother's basement. I mean, there is still a lot of that, but this is something to where I think it's very important to think about this, is when you have all these kind of bozos bashing it, saying it's, a bubble, it's worse than the tulip mania kind of thing. realize is that this is something that the world wants. If you live in South America, you can probably relate with having a kind of, a crappy currency. But the difference between, Bitcoin and, say one of these other countries that are really struggling is that though it may be volatile, it's volatile and going up, where, others are volatile and losing value. One of the, not funny, but I think at least, when the whole Zimbabwe kind of financial kind of crisis, when their money system melted down, I remember seeing a sign that says, "I'm a starving trillionaire." So, like I mentioned earlier, we've already seen governments dip their hands into people's accounts with Greece. A couple of years ago, I don't remember, it was 2012, but that's exactly what happened. The system was broken and they needed to pay their bills, and so they dipped into, people like me and you's accounts. And cryptocurrency, if you're storing it, like I said, on a hardware wallet, there is no way for anyone to do that. So that really sort of kind of wraps this up. I can't believe it's already been about an hour, but like I said, I mean, to me, I can't be more excited about this, to be honest. I mean, I like to talk about things like, how the blockchain will really reshape the world. Like I said, with voting, with insurance, imagining a network of insurers who you can actually see market value. Taxes. I've thought of things to where, blockchain-based tax system based on usage. So you're not getting taxed if you're not using something. It's really, I mean, there's just so many possibilities due to this, kind of incorruptible decentralized ledger. So that's really kind of that. Let me see if John is around here. But I just wanted to now kind of talk to you about, what we've been working on. We've basically, for probably since April, Raghi and I, John and I, Taylor and I have all really been discussing, what can we do in the crypto space that'll add value, that people enjoy being a part of, and kind of get people excited to participate. That's the big thing here is, so some of you may know Craig. He's someone that we work with here. And Craig and I talk all the time, and this was maybe a couple weeks ago. I think it may have actually been the Mona trade, the one where I made the 56%. He's sitting here and he says, "Man," he said, he said, "I'm not just, I don't have the fear of missing out anymore. I'm just straight up missing out. So I have Mo." And that kind of cracked me up, and that evolved into, I kind of thought of, or we thought of the sumo thing there. He's like, no, it's not even just missing out. I'm straight up missing out. So really, I mean, I don't want this to be a thing to where, and obviously you're the master of your own destiny, but it's going to be a thing where, look at a year ago today, cryptocurrencies, or Bitcoin specifically, was trading around $700. It is now trading at roughly $8,000. So, I mean, this isn't, like I said, this isn't just a game anymore. There is real money exchanging hands. Bitcoin is, generally trading over $1 billion worth of volume a day. So, I mean, this thing there's some legitimacy to it now. Now, like I said, you're never going to probably stop seeing the, "Oh my gosh, this is a bubble. Oh my gosh, this is a fraud." Let those people say what they're going to say. As a trader, look at the charts and you can see things coming. Now, obviously, there's going to be times where, the crypto market is just kind of looking kind of eerie, but like I said, just keep looking at the charts and that tells the story. So what we've been kind of cooking up here is simpler crypto. So anyone that's, here tonight is, kind of in the simpler trading family. And kind of knows what we're about. What we're about is trading real money, kind of transparently. This is what we're doing. This is what we're looking at. And so what we're working on is basically a simpler crypto membership. What this will entail is basically access to nightly exposure from me, Raghi, Taylor. We're going to do 5 videos a week where, we're doing all the hard work, finding the new opportunities. So we're going to do a video like most of you are familiar with now. We're going to do trade alerts. So I think we are going to be the first people on the planet to offer something like this. I mean, the crypto market is, and so I think this is important to understand, and I think I started mentioning this and sort of derailed myself, but with new technologies, whether it's tulip mania, the internet, or cryptocurrencies, things typically happen in these three waves, and they are pretty repeatable. So it's one of those things where you have early adoption, you have institutional adoption, and then mass adoption. And I think we are just scraping the surface with institutional adoption. As I mentioned just a minute ago, Ripple just got in bed with American Express. And American Express is not just some company, like some fly-by-night sort of, merchant processor or credit card company. I mean, this is a big deal. So, as I mentioned, 5 premium video newsletters per week, crypto alerts, and like I said, I don't think anyone else on the planet is offering that just yet for cryptocurrencies. An extensive learning center. Myself, Taylor, Rogge, I mean, really all of us here that are going to be involved are constantly learning about this stuff. I just actually purchased a BitPay card, which makes using your cryptocurrencies in the real world much more applicable for most people. What we're calling crypto cheat sheets. So once again, we're trying to do all the hard work and the legwork for you. So basically what these are is anytime we find something that we think is sort of noteworthy to either be added to a potentials list, or maybe sort of like an investment, maybe not trading list, just something that you'd want to consider holding on for a while. So we're building out these cheat sheets, which will show you essentially, hey, this is what this token does. Here's the team behind it. Here's why you need to be paying attention. So, as most of you I think would already be aware of, is we have this fantastic live trading room environment where every day we have experts in the room. Really just kind of showing you exactly what they're doing in the markets, and we're going to have something similar for the crypto membership. On a weekly basis, we'll be in there for about an hour, sometimes longer, sharing with you sort of, hey, here's what's happening in the market. Here are the potentials that we're looking at. Here are the trades that we're taking. Really just try to give you as much information to be successful in the crypto world. So really the last kind of part of at least the subscription is sort of the watch lists. As I mentioned before, there are over 1,200 different cryptocurrencies. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of things that you should not touch with the 10-foot pole. Actually, I would probably go as far to say as like 80, if not 90% of the altcoins and cryptocurrencies out there, you should not even get near. And we're going to do the hard work and figure out what are the ones to stay away from, and what are the ones where there is legitimate opportunity. So part of this is, as I mentioned before, is I don't want you or my mom or Henry and Manny's dog to become a statistic when they're getting involved in the crypto world. So what we've done is we've partnered with Trezor, and we're basically putting together sort of as a bonus for anyone that participates in this, they'll get a Trezor cryptocurrency wallet. And like I said, in my mind, this is the best way to keep yourself safe. I'm going to do basically some tutorials on setting this up just so you feel very comfortable doing this. And like I said, I mean, if you're going to be involved in this, you don't want to be up at night thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to my money? Having something like this, you can keep it, in a safe or something like that. But even if it does get lost, if you take the right steps and the precautions, you're going to be just fine. The other thing we're gearing up for is a crypto masterclass. So like I mentioned before, I kind of shared one of my little secrets for finding great breakout opportunities. That's how I found the 56% winner in Monocoin, the 16% winner in Syscoin, the trade in Litecoin, the trade in Ethereum Classic. So I'm going to go through all the little tips and tricks and secrets in my step-by-step kind of process before I even consider getting into a trade. I do a lot of homework on the company itself. I take time looking at the players, who their team is, the tech. I spend a lot of time looking at this stuff just to make sure that I don't wake up, getting punched in the face by a huge move that, the chart didn't really tell me. So really what this all boils down to is we're doing 3 things here, and this is only offered to existing kind of simpler charter members. So if you're on this webinar, you're here for a reason. This was by invite only. And this is something that we're only going to run through Monday. Part of the thing we want to kind of keep in mind is that right now, although, as I was kind of touting, the crypto market is getting bigger and bigger, there are still a lot of sort of illiquid altcoins that I may see an opportunity, but if we have too many people involved, my biggest fear is that, the buying kind of dries up, and that's not good for anyone. So we are really going to try to limit this. We really only want people that are very hardcore about this. So we've put together something I'm proud of. I mean, it's something that I think we're going to provide a ton of value. And my true really kind of goal for this, now I obviously can't make any guarantees, but I guarantee you this, is that I'm going to try as hard as I can that you can recoup your costs within maybe 3 to 6 months. So what we've got here is a monthly, quarterly, and yearly kind of charter offer here. As I mentioned a moment ago, we do have a class kind of cooked up here where Roggy and myself are going to tag team this. I'm going to go through all the stuff that I do. Roggy's going to go through all the stuff she does. And I think, we've really kind of put together something really special that I really think everyone is going to enjoy and benefit from greatly. So, kind of what's included with all this is, the yearly charter option at $9.97 gets you an entire year of the annual membership. It also gets the masterclass I just discussed, and it also gets you the Trezor hardware wallet. We are going to, launch this at a much higher price, down the road. So that's a total savings of $534, essentially making the masterclass completely free. So if you move down a tier to the quarterly charter, you get 3 months of the service. You also get the masterclass included, but you don't get the hardware wallet. Like I said, we do have a limited number of those. I think we've got 250. So, kind of once we're out, we're out. And then kind of lastly here, if you just want to kind of, dip your toe in the water here, you can lock in sort of the charter rate of $79 per month. We are going to be offering this at $97 a month when we kind of open it a little bit, to maybe not just charter members, but kind of more to the public. I think that's kind of the plan for the beginning of the year. But right now, like I said, this is something we're running through Monday. I strongly suggest you consider it. I'm going to be spending tons of time. Taylor, Roggy, John, there is a lot of potential here. Like I said, I mean, in just a single day, sometimes you can find trades that are in double digits. Even sometimes that Mona trade, like I said, it was up over 100% at one point, I believe the day after or day before. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, so that's sort of what we've got here. If you are interested in this, you can go to simplertrading.com/crypto. And if you have any questions, I think we'll go ahead and open it up to any questions. I don't know if, John or Roggy or anyone else, if there was anything else to add. But once again, that's simplertrading.com/crypto. And I hope this was helpful for y'all. If you don't end up taking, us up on the offer, feel free to send me questions still. I really am excited about this, not just because of the profit potential, but really what this will do for the world. I get kind of bent out of shape when I see injustice in the world, and to me, the blockchain is going to largely fix that. I really believe that this is going to be technology for the good of the world. So yeah, let them rip. If you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah, and while Jared's gathering his thoughts there, you guys have questions.
How do you trade cryptos? So Dave, basically, really just the same way you trade stock, and it's very similar to stock trading in my mind. One thing I didn't mention is that, right now you don't have to ante up $8,000 to get involved. Bitcoin can be fractionalized up to 8 decimal points. So if you want to get just involved with $100, you can do that kind of immediately. So, it really is something to where with, a little amount of money, you can start participating. So Dave, to trade it, I use a couple different tools. One thing in particular is called Coinigy. it basically allows me to connect multiple exchanges together and then do different things, sort of like setting stop limits, which I think is incredibly important in the crypto market. I kind of look at it sometimes sort of like the futures market is. I don't actually trade futures, but you always hear the thing is it's hard to go to bed, with a futures contract on. So, Dave, I mean, to kind of fully wrap that up is you would basically set up an account at an exchange, just like like a brokerage account, and you fund it with, normal dollars and, let it rip. Let's see, what else we got here? So Steve is asking, when is the master class? So Steve, that's going to be on December 30th. So still about, I don't even know what today is, 16th. So yeah, I mean, we're still a little over a month out from that. But I think that's going to be really great. Like I said, I can't be. I mean, I sort of ended up in the perfect spot. I was interested at trading, early on in my life, and having the opportunity to kind of sit and learn from really some of the best in the industry, via osmosis. I've been able to pick up a lot of different things, the squeeze, the grab and wave, and just honestly, I mean, the psychology that you apply in the stock market, it applies here as well. Mohammed, can you chart this coin in Thinkorswim? No, not right now. So I use TradingView to do all the charting. So in my mind, I really want to be able to look at something on a chart before I dive in. And so, yeah, I use TradingView for all my charting. Mohammed, I would honestly think that probably going into early next year, we're going to start seeing, big players like Thinkorswim, TradeStation, maybe even Tastyworks, add Bitcoin, maybe add Ethereum. I would assume most of you heard that the CME is going to be adding a Bitcoin futures product. So talk about crazy. Can you imagine? I mean, I don't even know what the margin on something like that would be. But, this thing, I mean, it really sort of emphasizes or reinforces, I guess my point is, we're just getting started with this. Can you imagine? I mean, think about that. If mainstream Wall Street is about to say, you know what, we want to get involved with Bitcoin, so we're creating a Bitcoin futures product, what is that going to do to the price of Bitcoin? I mean, think about that. So if that is the catalyst for other derivatives, so what's next? Is it going to be an options contract? Is it going to be ETFs? I think we're probably going to see both at some point next year. Let's see. What broker trades cryptos? So Fernando, so the exchanges that I use primarily, I use Coinbase, Gemini, and BitTrex or Bittrex. I honestly feel like I'd probably called it wrong up until just recently, and then someone pointed out, they're like, "Oh, it's actually supposed to be BitTrex. Did you never notice the little dinosaur icon?" So anyway, those are the three ones I use primarily. Coinbase, like I said, I feel very comfortable doing business with them. They've made it a point to, like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier, they're trying to stay in very good standings with, regulators and things like that. So if you are really looking to get involved, I would, I would say Bitcoin or Gemini, and Gemini is the Winklevoss twins exchange. One other that I don't actually use, but I've heard good things about, is Kraken. That one is based in California as well, I think. Let's see. How do you get the squeeze on the charts? So like I said, this is in TradingView, and this is something that we recently just added. So probably within the last maybe month or two. So this is something that if you take the master class, we'll include this for free. But yeah, so I mean, we are working on getting more of our indicators added to TradingView. It's we've got Eric kind of working triple time here now, so hopefully by early next year we'll have the majority of our indicators in TradingView. Platform for trading. So Jim, yeah, exactly. So the platform I'm using is TradingView for all my charting, and then when I find the setup or a trade I want, then I'll execute through Coinbase or Gemini or Bittrex. And Bittrex is what I use, or BitTrex is what I use primarily for all my altcoin trading. They have quite a few different coins and tokens on their exchange, where Coinbase currently only offers Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. And so there's another little sort of nugget, if you will. I mean, that's what really tipped me off on Ethereum is I'd been, making weekly purchases, or excuse me, bi-weekly purchases for Bitcoin, and then I saw, Coinbase added Ethereum, and at the time I was like, I think I've heard of this, but I don't really know what it is, and so I just thought, I was like, if Coinbase is making the effort to add them, this has got to be something big, and so, I kind of lucked out by the timing was well, so I ended up picking up quite a few. Ba, 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 ba. So I can talk just briefly sort of about taxes. I am not a tax authority. The only thing I really know, I mean, there's a couple things kind of brewing right now. So Bitcoin is currently taxed or it has capital gains tax. So that doesn't make it too usable in the real world right now. So they are working on sort of a crypto, I believe it's called Fairness Act. I cannot remember, but basically, it's for any transactions under $200, it'll be treated just sort of like a normal currency, so there won't be this crazy sort of capital gains applied to it. That's about the best answer I can give, like I said, but right now they're still trying to kind of figure this out. Let me see here. Maybe use my Amex card for funding? Yeah, definitely. So through Coinbase, you can use a bank account or credit card. With a bank account, and I haven't done a bank account purchase in a while, but it is cheaper in terms there's not like a fee associated, but then it takes, I believe, up to 7 days sometimes for the Bitcoin to hit your account. With a credit or debit card, the coins basically hit your account pretty quickly. So Yen, the link is just simplertrading.com/crypto. I don't know if you can see that on the screen there, but yeah, so that's where it is. And like I said, I just want to be clear that, like I said, if you are interested in the kind of the 997, we do have a limited number of the Trezor wallets. I mean, we'll do our best as if we get up to like say 251, we'll take care of you or whatever. But just kind of keep in mind is that we are going to shut the door on this on Monday. Does Coinigy have the squeeze indicator? No, they don't, HL, but Coinigy uses TradingView charts within their platform. I honestly think there is sort of a knockoff version of the squeeze, but Eric took a look at it and the code is not quite the same. So the smoothing of the histogram and stuff like that isn't quite the same. So what platform does Roggy use? Roggy uses TradingView as well. How do you move? So Matthew is asking, how do you move coins into a cold wallet? So the hardware wallet that I mentioned is basically technically a cold wallet. Because it's not connected to the internet. You have to use a USB cable that then syncs with a browser-based sort of desktop or dashboard, if you will, and you have to enter in a secret code, and that kind of unlocks everything. So, and like I said, in my mind, that is the best cold wallet. It's sort of a nice balance of, instead of printing off your private keys, which you can do, that's just to me is kind of sketchy. I wouldn't do that. I would definitely consider a hardware wallet. Will you be trading Bitcoin futures once they are available? I'm pretty confident that Roggy will be. I haven't really dipped my toe in the futures world. I will probably just continue to trade sort of the underlying there, but I'm very excited for that, if nothing else, to just help expand sort of the awareness of Bitcoin. So Dr. Bruce is asking, so Jared, you said that when you look for the ones that don't belong there, e.g. Bit, or example Bitcore, then what do you do? So yeah, Dr. Bruce, so kind of walk you through just sort of a watered down version of my process is I like to kind of start there. So basically I'll kind of search for the ones that don't belong, and then I kind of just start the research. Especially if it's a coin that I don't know about. So with Monocoin, it's exactly what I did. So I kind of just scour the internet for as much information as I can find. Hang out in Reddit a lot. There's always, you have to kind of weed through some stuff sometimes, but Reddit definitely is a good resource for cryptos. I'll look into the team members. It's always sort of a check mark if one that they have a good social media following. And yeah, I really kind of dive into who the company is, what they're offering, if there's legitimacy there, because right now there are a lot of kind of snake oil going on in the ICO world. And I apologize, I don't want to offend anyone, but I started kind of doing an article, ICOs, incredible crock of expletive, question mark. So, and not to say that I think they are that, but there are a lot of them within the ICO world that are kind of BS. So yeah, Dr. Bruce, to kind of finish your question there, yeah, I definitely look at technicals, but I also like to do a little more homework on them just because right now it is sort of the Wild West, and there have been some pump and dump schemes. So I just I want to protect myself, and so I do a lot of homework before I consider something. Let's see. Oleg, yeah, so I kind of touched on that. So I use TradingView, but yeah, with the addition of a futures product, you really have to imagine that most major brokerages are probably already in the works of getting that product added to their platform once it goes live. So Daniel, I touched on that a bit, but yeah, good crypto exchanges to use or buy altcoins. So I personally use Bittrex. I've used Poloniex in the past, but I've really kind of for the last probably 3 or 4 months been using BitTrex or Bittrex. Let me just put that on screen for just a second so you can see. I kind of feel stupid saying it so many times without you actually seeing what I'm talking about. And one thing I didn't actually touch on real quick, and I actually just saw a question, and it was two-factor authentication. So I think some of you probably heard John's story of how some kind of hackers kind of went after his Bitcoin account, and that's why it's incredibly important to set up two-factor authentication. You can kind of credit sort of the crypto market for making that more mainstream. I admittedly just after the scare with John, added it to my email, and I think anyone that's listening right now, if you want to help keep yourself protected, please add two-factor authentication to your email, to your bank account, anywhere that it's offered. You might as well add it. This just adds one more layer of security to keep you safe from hackers, from people stealing your money, your identity. It really is sort of this new wave in protection, and thanks to cryptocurrencies, it's really been kind of brought more to the spotlight. Jim, is there buy or sell limits? Kind of, yes, but it's all based on sort of your credentials. So the more information you're willing to share, the more access you have, essentially. So you can kind of set up an account with some baseline information, name, email, and I think like an address. It's been years since I've done it, but basically what they're looking for is if you're willing to expose more of who you are, they're willing to let you buy and sell more of it. So Fozzie, does the crypto market follow the same psychology of the other markets? So most definitely so, because if you understand that all the markets are basically the reflection of human emotion and maybe some computer emotion, then yes, most definitely it does. So the crypto market, it follows Fibonacci quite nicely. I use, really from what I learned from Carolyn, I use, extensions, retracements, that kind of thing to pick targets. Entries and exits. So yeah, most definitely so. The same psychology applies. One thing I would say is the crypto market, and this is just a figure I'm throwing out. I have no way to quantify this, but it seems to move 2 to 3 to 4 times as fast as a normal market. Cryptos are truly a 24/7 market. They are indeed. So if you're a fiend like me and you like kind of checking things out at midnight, this is the product for you. You can trade this wherever, whenever, however, it's going 24/7. Let's see. So Edith, so do you trade coins on TradingView? So I don't actually execute the trades on TradingView. I do all of my charting on TradingView. So let me pull that up one more time here. So here's TradingView and a nice little chart of Ethereum. So let's do a little bit of analysis here and just kind of look at this weekly squeeze. So we've got our fibs here. So if we run from this big high to this low here, you can kind of see this 618 has been sort of where it's lived for a while. But we've got this sort of, lower low, or excuse me, higher low, higher low, higher low, this nice little kind of triangle wedge with a big old squeeze setting up. And if we take a look at a daily chart, you'll kind of see the same thing. Big old squeeze with the histogram starting to reflect bullish momentum. Kind of a mixture of volume here, some selling and buying, but Ethereum is one that I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of the idea and project. So this is one that is definitely probably a good one to keep an eye on. Any idea what the size of a Bitcoin contract will be? I honestly don't know. I can imagine with the volatility of Bitcoin and things like that, it's probably going to be a big one. But I'm not really much an expert in the futures world. Let's see, fixed supplies. So yeah, so exactly. So the kind of like I touched on earlier. So our existing money system is all based on the Federal Reserve controlling it, right? So the Bitcoin software acts sort of as the one that's creating money. So the whole idea was to create a finite number so that you couldn't distort the value of them, sort of like the Federal Reserve is doing to the dollar. If they're printing, well, they stopped, I guess, when it was at 2014, I believe. They're printing $84 billion a month out of nowhere. And and I hope most people are aware of this, especially within our community, is we ain't pegged to gold anymore. So it's basically based on trust in the government. And I can tell you, I do not trust the government. So to me, this is why this is so powerful, is it takes the power out of humans' hands and puts it into the hands of math. And as long as 1 + 1 still equals 2, the blockchain is not going anywhere. Let's see. Looks like questions are starting to dry up a bit here. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, someone's asking about the link. Sorry. Yeah, simplertrading.com/crypto. Will each quarter cost $4.97? No. This is just the initial price. So if you look right here, and I apologize, that's probably a little confusing. So the quarterly offer then will be $237 a quarter after the first 3 months. Hopefully that makes sense. Would you trade GBTC? It can be charted. So Ed, I have not traded GBTC. I know John has, and he's made some money doing it. Once again, similar to the futures thing, is I'm going to focus more on the underlying, Bitcoin itself. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're following Bitcoin, you can't profit from trading GBTC. Let's see. Talk about. So can I talk about how to move Bitcoin to a cold wallet? So I don't know if maybe I may be answering the question twice, but it's sort of just like what I said, is it works with an address. So think of your address sort of as an email address. It's something you'll share with someone that you want to, you want them to send you something back. So think of it sort of in that manner as, okay, I want to transfer, Matthew, I want to send you some Bitcoin, say hypothetically there. You're going to provide me your public key or public address, and like I said, you think of it as your email address. You don't want to give this to just any random bozo on the road because he may spam you and that kind of crap. But for the most part, it is okay to share that address. But with that said, Matthew, I'm going to send you mine, and then I will send you, or excuse me, vice versa. You'll send me your receiving address, and I will send the coins to your wallet. So it's really just kind of like an email address. The to and from field, you put the addresses, push send, and you're on your way. Is Coinbase Exchange okay for Australian traders? James, sorry, I don't know the answer to that, but I think it is, but I honestly don't know. I would give it a shot and just see what happens. And what you can do is if you buy it through Coinbase, you can then transfer it over to your cold wallet there. So it's looking like the questions are kind of drying up here. So let me just kind of put this up here one more time. Looks like I'm kind of running out of time here, but so once again, simplertrading.com/crypto. Let me kind of go through this with you one more time. Like I said, I'm incredibly excited about this, not just tomorrow or in the next day. I mean, for the rest of my life, I think that blockchain will touch nearly every element of the digital world in the next, couple of years. So, I mean, if you're excited about this and you want to try to make some money doing it, I would really consider joining this. I promise you, I'm going to put, all my free time into making this as good as possible. And I know that Roggy and Taylor are as well. Just to kind of recap, we're going to do 5 premium videos a week. That'll be something you get in the evening. We're going to do our homework during the day and kind of show you the best opportunities. If something is really moving up or down, you're going to get an alert from us, letting you know sort of what we've spotted, or maybe what we're kind of eyeing. The Learning Center, this is going to be a spot where we're going to put, hey, here's some new stuff that you need to know about the crypto world. Hey, they just did an update. Hey, this happened. So this is going to be an area to kind of tune in, to kind of keep pace with, what's important. The cheat sheets, like I said, once again, we're spending the time doing all the legwork for you. So we're going to put together sort of, hey, here's a new cheat sheet. That means you probably should pay attention to it because we did a lot of homework on it. We're going to reach out to some of these companies if you really want to confirm things. Like I said, I've kind of scoured the internet. I don't think there is another service in the world that's offering crypto alerts. I'm really excited that we're having the opportunity to offer that for everyone. And then the crypto breakout session. So for those of you that are a Fibonacci Queen member, very similar to what Carolyn does, we're going to start this off with just sort of once per week meetup. Excuse me. Where it'll be a great opportunity for the community to come together, ask questions, share ideas, and just talk cryptocurrencies. And last but most definitely not least, our personal short-term and long-term watch lists. So these are things like, hey, I'm going to be holding this one for the near future, and here's some ones like I said, Monocoin, Syscoin, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic. These may only last a day or two. So those are kind of the opportunities that we're going to provide with the service. And really just to kind of wrap this up here, like I said, if you are interested in this, I really hope you take advantage of this. Like I said, you're going to save on the hardware wallet, you're going to get the class for free, and then a discount on the whole year of the service. And I think, like I said, the crypto market is just getting started. So if you have any questions and are interested in signing up, please go to simplertrading.com/crypto. Feel free to give us a call, 512-266-8659, or shoot us an email at info@simplertrading.com. All right. Well, y'all have a good evening. Thank you very much for attending. I really, really appreciate it. Take care.